Hello and welcome to our next tutorial. On this tutorial we're going to be walking you through pattern D0815, and this is from New Look. This is a tweens easy pattern, so either an adult or an actual teen can actually make this garment. So there are some things that I would like to show you about this pattern. It's a very easy pattern to walk through, so I will be showing you step by step from selecting your sizing over all the way to the actual finishing of the garment in these various different videos. So in this video, video 1, I'm going to be walking you through the actual pattern, what things you are going to need, and how to trace this over to a different method, so in case you need to do different sizing, you don't cut this one out. So you're going to learn a lot of different things during this tutorial. So for this tutorial, you are going to need either your child's measurements or the person you are going to be making this garment for. I'm going to be making this for my daughter, and she's actually growing and sprouting up really fast. So she's growing really fast and outgrowing a lot of the things that I made her last, even in the fall. So she's growing really fast. So I need to get her some new summery tops and things like that for school. And she wanted views A and view B. So she wants the top and the skirt. Okay, so their sides. Okay, so here's the actual pattern itself. And then on the back of the pattern, it gives you information about the actual pattern itself. Okay, so I'm gonna just put this in here so you can, over here's in Spanish, over here is in English. Okay, this is centimeters, this is in inches. So, according to my daughter's size, she wears, off the rack right now, she wears a size 12, 14, and it's baggy on her, but it fits her in her length. So that's a challenge that we have with her right now. So here on your child's measurements, you're going to need their chest, their waist, their hips, and in the back to waist size. That's for the sizing on the back, so you don't have it too long and it be bulgy. So here for my daughter, on her chest size, which is right here, her chest size, she's 28.5 inches on the chest. Hopefully you guys can see this really well. And then for the waist, she's at 25.5, and then hips, she's 32. But then over here on the back to neck, it's 12 inches. I'm sorry, neck to waist. Neck to waist is 15 actually. Oops, I read that wrong, it's 15, so she's over here. She's off the chart. So neck to waist, she's over here. So we'll say that she's over here in size 14. So in lengthwise, she's tall, but slender. So she's kind of runs over here and then walks up over here on the sizing chart. And I'll tell you why that matters here in a few minutes during the tutorial. So when I go to pick my fabric, I like to choose the length of the fabric for the largest size. So that would be a size 14 for her. So down here for 14, it tells me I'm going to need 1 yard for view A. For view B, it says it's 3/4 of a yard. Okay, if you are making the same, if you are making the top and the bottom out of the same fabric, I'm going to show you a tip when we lay out our pattern pieces on how you can actually get that so it's not as much waste in fabric. If you make it all the same, I could show you how much you're actually going to need for that. So just to stay tuned with that, and I'll give you some tips on that too. Okay, so that's how we read our pattern. And then down here under requirements, it tells you what you're going to need. It says for view A, we are going to need a 16-inch zipper, a hook eye, and a 1/4 inch single fold bias tape. Okay, and then for view B, we're going to need elastic. Okay, oops, sorry, I bumped the table. So we're going to need elastic for that. So it tells you what you're going to need for requirements. It's very easy, very minimal in what you actually need. Now you do need to learn how to put in a zipper. It does not have to be an invisible zipper. It can be a regular zipper, as long as it's 16 inches or longer. I'll show you how to cut those down as well. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need to pull out your pattern. Okay, and you're going to need to know, according to your pattern piece, what pieces you're going to need to cut out. So, I'm going to show you real fast. This is your pattern directions. Okay, so for our pattern directions, it shows us view A front and back, view B front and back, and view C front and back. There's not much difference between B and C in front and back, but for A there is, because it does have the zipper closure. Here it tells us all the pattern pieces that should come here, and then it gives you descriptions of them, and then down here is the layout. Right here is the layout on how to do view A, how to do view B, and how to do view C. Okay, so here's that information. I'm going to probably vary from that just a little bit. As long as we match our gray lines, which I'll explain what that is, you can vary that a little bit. Okay, it doesn't have to look exactly like that. Especially if you're making out of the same fabric, view B and view A out of the same fabric, then you might be able to save up a little bit on that. Okay, so now that we've got that, okay, I'm going to show you how I'm going to transfer over my pattern pieces. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to get your pattern pieces and lay them out. Okay, open this up. And we got really lucky that all these pattern pieces are on one long sheet. Okay, there we go. So this is all one big piece. Hopefully you can see that on the camera, okay? So this is all one big tissue paper, okay? So here it is. There's number 2. Here's number 1. You can see that. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, and pattern piece number 5. We're not doing the pants, so we don't have to worry about the front and back 7 and 8, okay? All we're doing is pattern pieces 1 and 2, 3, 4 for the top, and pattern piece number 5 for the skirt, okay? So here is where I make a little bit of a difference. So what I like to do is I like to trace my pattern pieces onto either muslin or Swedish tracing paper. So I have plenty of Swedish tracing paper on hand, so that's what I'll be using today. This is what it looks like. Just comes on a roll. Okay, it comes on a roll. And you can sew on it, so you can use this as your template when you're trying it on the child, okay? So there's my view, okay? Just gonna go ahead and make sure everything's in place. So see that? Everything's in place. Now I'm gonna go ahead and trace it out, okay? I'm going to get something that's dark and bright so you guys can see on camera. Okay. So now for these straight lines here, you can actually use a ruler to assist you in those straight lines. So with the straight lines, you can use a ruler to assist you, okay? So for my daughter, on the bodice piece, remember for her sizing was a little different. So we could just do size 14, but then it'll be baggy everywhere else. So I want to make sure that I get this at the right size. So for her, the length, she needed it at size 14, but in the actual width of it, she was at size 12. So I'm going to cut this out lengthwise as a size 14, okay? And then here, I'm gonna grade it over to a size 12, and I'll show you how that looks like, okay? So I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna go ahead and trace out the size 14 first, and then I'll show you what it looks like, okay? Because this is sleeveless, it gives us a lot of room to make alterations and not have to worry too much about matching up sleeves and so on. Okay. Oops. I bumped it. This is where you're going to need some pattern weights or something. I just bumped it by mistake. There we go. No biggie. Just line it back up. Okay. I also want to match up that grain line. This is where it's going to be very important for me to know what direction I want my fabric to lay. Okay? So this is a size 14 right now, as it is. Now here, in the darts for the size 12 and 14 do not vary at all. So here's where it starts. Here's the other one. And I'm just tracing all of it out. It's important that you transfer all these markings onto your pattern piece, okay? This makes it easy so you don't have to cut up this tissue paper. If you cut up the tissue paper, it's like my child, she changes in size, and then I was like, well, darn, I already cut that out at a size 8 now. She's a size 12, so now what am I going to do? So, okay, so now that we've cut it out, we've transferred all those things. We've transferred over, we're going to transfer these notches up here. There's a notch right there, and there's a notch right here. But I'm not going to transfer that one yet because I want this to be a size 12 and this in here to be the size 12 because under her arms, it's going to be way too baggy if I leave it there. So what I'm going to do is right here at the 14, let's see here, 10, 12. Here's the 12. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and use that 12 line as my reference, and then my 12 here. I'm going to transfer that over. So over here, I'm just going to cross those out so I know when I'm cutting this out, I'm not using this line, I'm using this line here for my size 12. So I did 14 in the length of it because she's tall, but she's slender. So this direction here, I did it a size 12. Okay? So what we're going to do now, we're going to do that to all of our pattern pieces. And after we've done that to our pattern pieces, then we can go ahead and cut it out. After we've done all that to our pattern pieces, then I'm going to show you how we are going to start assembling it on the Swedish tracing paper or your muslin so it fits your child perfectly.